All right, good afternoon, everyone. As usual, I'm coming to you with a really quick, short story. And as you can see from my environment, yes, I'm in a tent because I'm camping out this week. Remember, I told you guys how much I love it outside? Well, this is day 6 of 7 camping outside, and I'm loving every minute of it, except at night. Gets a little spooky. All right, so here we go. This is a story about a 5-year-old little girl. She's just getting ready to start kindergarten, and her mom teaches her address and phone number, don't talk to strangers, all of the good things you tell your kindergartner before you send them off to school. And so she doesn't have any older brothers and sisters, so she goes next door to the neighbors. They have older children to see if her little girl can walk to school with them and back. So the neighbors agreed that in the morning they're going to come and get her, and they're going to walk to school, and then she's going to walk back with them. But her mother did give her some instructions. She said, do not leave that door until somebody comes to get you. Either it's going to be me or it's going to be the kids from next door, but no matter what, don't leave. Somebody's going to come and get you when you come outside. So she said, okay, simple enough. Now, every day they went like this, no problems. But then something changed. On this particular day, the kindergartners had to go to art class. There was a fire drill. And when there's a fire drill, the art class is on the other side of the building. And so they made an announcement after the fire drill, it's going to be time to go home. And so the teacher had all the kids get their coats and jackets, and off to art they went. Here goes the fire drill. Bam, 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 bam. And they all rush out of the doors. School's over. Everything seems like it's going to be okay until the 5-year-old gets outside and looks around and thinking, where am I? I've never come out this door. Everything was foreign. It was clean on the other side of the building. The houses looked different. Even the kids who got out on that side of the building didn't look like the kids who got out on the other side of the building. But she did just like her mother said. Don't leave the door until somebody comes get you. Either it's going to be the neighbors or it's going to be me, but stay put. And that's exactly what she did. She stayed at that door and she waited and waited, and there were less kids, less cars in the parking lot, less everything. And so as time went on, a teacher came out and said, my dear, are you still waiting? And she said, my next door neighbors are coming for me, or my mommy, they'll be here soon. And so the teacher said, okay. So she went into her car and she went on away. Well, the little girl looked at the parking lot. There was only a few cars left, and there were hardly no kids left. Where are the neighbors? So in that moment, that 5-year-old made an executive decision. And that decision was, I'm going to walk the way the rest of the kids are going, and my neighbors will find me along the way, and we'll walk together. She was afraid to be left there all alone. And so there were 3 kids just leaving the school parking lot, and she followed them, and she got behind them, and as the closer and closer she got, she didn't recognize their voices. And one of them turned around, and not only didn't she recognize their voices, she had no idea who they were. So she made another executive decision. I'm going to turn around and go back. And that's what she did. She turned around, and as she was starting to go back, she spotted some other kids walking down another street. She said, that's what I'll do. I'll go ahead and I'll follow them because they look like they know where they're going. And so she began to walk behind those kids, and she walked and she walked, and then they turned off to a street with more houses and more people and more things that she had never, ever seen. Now, by now, she's nervous. She's scared, and tears are coming down her eyes, and she's just crying and crying, and where are the neighbors, and where is mommy? And so she spotted a corner store, and she went in there, and she was crying so hard that she could barely speak. And there were 2 men at the counter getting ready to buy some things, and one of them said, what's the matter, little sweet pea? What's the matter? And she said, I'm lost, and I don't know where I'm going. My mommy said she was coming to get me from school, didn't show up. They said, it's okay, it's okay. Do you know where you live? She said, yeah, I know where I live. So they said, well, come on. We're going to put you in the back seat of the car, and you tell us where to stop to get to your house. Well, they put her in the car, and they began to drive, but guess what? That little girl was so scared and so nervous because her mother told her never go with strangers, but they seemed like they could get her home. So she got in the car with them, and they went up and down every street until one of them said, hey, let's take her back to the school. Maybe somebody is going there. What's the name of your school? Robert Fulton. That's the name of my school. And they said, oh, we know where that is. It's up the street. So they turned around. They went to the parking lot. They said, do you see your mother or the neighbor? She said, no. And I don't know where. Is this the same school? Because remember, it's on that side of the building where she didn't know where anything was. And so they circled around to the other side of the building, and just then she spotted that pink and white house. She knew that pink and white house. She said, I know that house. I live up there. Go that way. And so they circled out of the parking lot and they headed towards that pink house. She said, now go that way, which was a right turn. And then she spotted the store where her friends and the neighbors would stop and get candy. She said, keep going. The next street. That's my street. So when they got to that street, they turned up that street. I know where I am. My house is on this street. And so they went slowly up the street, and they, just as they were pulling up in front of her house, she could see her mother. That's my mommy! 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 Now, mommy isn't as happy as she is. Mommy could barely breathe. She was on the porch, and she had her asthma inhaler, and the neighbors were sitting on the porch, and everybody looked so concerned, but they heard that voice, Mommy! And the car stopped right in front of the house, and the two men jumped out, and they came around and let the little girl out, and she bolted up the passageway to the porch, and her mother reached down and grabbed her and exposed her with everything she had in her, and the tears were rolling down in her eyes, and she said, where were you at? We looked everywhere. I told you never to leave. And the little girl's crying. She said, I know, Mommy, but I didn't know where anything was. She said, what are you talking about? She said, we got out on another side of the building, and the neighbors didn't come, and you didn't come, and nobody came, and so I was trying to get home, Mommy. I was just trying to get home. And then her mother addressed the two nice men who were nice enough to make sure she got home safe. And she asked them, what happened? She said, well, she came into the store, she was crying, and she told us she needed to make her way home. And she said, well, I just thank you so much for that. You know, and with that, she had to give her little girl another talking to, and she realized that she didn't give her enough information. What if she got out on another door? What if somebody didn't show up? What would she do about these strangers if they asked her to get into the car? And then with that, she said, come on in, dear. We have a lot of talking to do about safety and how to get home the right way when you are lost. And so with that, I want you guys to stop and think about it. Imagine the pressure of that 5-year-old. At 5 years old, she was trying to make her way home. Aren't we all 5? 5. Trying to make our way home. Where is home? Home is right in here. Home is what we think. Home are the things that are familiar to us. All of us trying to make our way home. 5 years old. For her, it was trying to get home. For some of us, it's trying to get to what we think our career is, or get to what we think our life is, or get to what the next thing that we think we should do. But when you come back home, center yourself. You can get there, but you just have to stop and think about it. She felt like somebody else knew the better way, So she started following people she didn't know. She went for more strangers until she turned around and she realized they didn't know her and she didn't know them. Don't we do that even as adults? Even as 5 years old, 25, 35, 45? You're like 5 years old, always trying to make your way home. Just stop, pause, think about it. That's what I want you guys to do. Stop and think about it. And with that, I'm going to leave you with that thought. And I'll see you the next time for our afternoon story. Bye-bye.